Have you seen Star Wars?
It felt like a long walk through Mordor, but at long last, we are finally done with the first season of the Bad Batch series. We know that there's going to be a season 2 coming out next year in 2022, but today I want to review the 2-episode season finale of season 1. So we're going to start off with Return to Kamino, which I would say is one of the best written episodes of the entire series, if not the best. I really have to go back and look at the episodes of the Bad Batch season 1 that I actually liked. But this episode is definitely up there in terms of ones I liked. It's hard just to remember all the ones that were good and bad at this point, but this episode, as explained in the title, sees the Bad Batch return to Kamino after Hunter is captured by Crosshair and the Empire. And it's here that we learn something interesting, kind of about Omega, but nothing too concrete. Nothing like, oh, this is why she was created and what the purpose of Omega is. But we do learn some interesting things, and that is, of course, that she knows a lot about Kamino, stuff that isn't even on the records, but we also know that she was there when the Bad Batch was created, meaning that she is older, technically, than all of them, but maybe she doesn't grow as fast as the other clones. She doesn't have that growth acceleration in her. I'm not sure what the point of that is. I really don't know what the purpose of keeping her like that and why she's so valuable. I don't think we're going to find that out until the series is pretty much over, or maybe even in season 2. But this episode felt like a great season finale that we were hoping for. Crosshair and Hunter come face to face for the standoff in the middle of the training grounds, and we've seen that so many times from the Clone Wars. It became very nostalgic very quick, seeing the droids come back and them having to fight the droids, kind of like we saw with the recruits from the Clone Wars series. And it's here that they have a heart-to-heart conversation about their differences between Crosshair and Hunter. We learn that Crosshair did have the inhibitor chip removed, and a lot of his choices over the season were truly his own, which was a really big reveal in my opinion, but it's extremely impactful to hear him say that the Bad Batch did not give him a chance and that they abandoned him. And from his perspective, his brothers left him when he was influenced by the chip, and that they never saved him. And this dialogue surprised me because in my opinion it's the most powerful conversation throughout the entire show, and it meant a lot. There's a lot of fun action in this episode as well, but it really tugs on the emotional strings when we see the Empire decide to wipe out Kamino entirely. We see a montage of all the clone barracks and the cafeteria and many other parts of the facility that have become like home for fans of the Clone Wars and people like me who the first Star Wars movie I ever saw in theaters was Attack of the Clones. So even if I wasn't a huge fan of the clones, I've always seen them, and Kamino has always just been a part of my Star Wars experience and mainly my Star Wars childhood. So for me, it was like seeing an ending of an era of your childhood, and we all knew that the clones were phased out. We all knew that this happened. We all knew that this was going to be a eventuality for them, is that the Kamino was just going to be empty or abandoned or just doing something completely different, and that the clone era was going to come to an end. But this episode actually showed that happening, and it really took my breath away when I first saw it. This episode is great, and I think it will remain one of the best of the series unless season 2 can really surprise us. So for part 1 of the season finale, I would give Return to Kamino a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a very good episode, and I would rewatch it in a heartbeat. Then we get to the most recent episode, and it's the one that came out today, and it's the true season finale, and it's called Kamino Lost. And I think it's a play on words like Jedi Lost, but anyways, this to me was extremely underwhelming. Coming off the highs of the last episode, I really expected Kamino Lost to do the same intensity and keep the same tension throughout the entire episode, but it fell flat in many regards. At best, this episode was really just the Bad Batch escaping Kamino, like another adventure that could be on a different planet, but the stakes are still the same. What made this episode better was the interactions with the team and Crosshair, him talking to Omega about being a clone, Tech mainly explaining that he understands Crosshair and that he doesn't agree with him. Stuff like that was really impactful. Even Wrecker, when he said that Crosshair, he could have came back and they would have brought him back anytime. Like, those were very heartfelt moments, which ironically did not happen with Echo at all. He is still the least important character in the entire series, despite having 16 episodes to build him up and him having multiple connections to the Clone Wars like Rex and Fives. I honestly forgot that he was even in this episode, and it feels like AZ, the droid from the Clone Wars season, I think 6 or 7? Yeah, I think it was season 6. AZ is probably going to be more of an emotional toll on a lot of us, and we're going to have a lot more interesting things with him than we do with Echo, who is also just a droid at this point. So it's really sad how they haven't done anything with Echo for the entire season, and I don't think they're going to do anything with him in season 2 either. It's really disappointing. I'm pretty happy that they didn't kill Crosshair, because I thought it was going to be kind of a cheap out if he was like a good guy and then they killed him or he died by some happenstance. I really like that he's not only still kind of friendly with them in the way where he's like, I'm not going to kill you guys, we're even, but he also doesn't agree with them on the future of the galaxy, and he wants to be a soldier for the Empire. I think that's fair, and I really hope that he is going to be a big character in Season 2, and they're not just going to forget about him for like half the season, and then he shows up and it's a big reveal for Season 2 or something. I really think that he is one of the most interesting characters in the series, if not the most interesting out of the Bad Batch group, excluding Omega, because, she's part of it, but she's her own little unique situation because of her age and what she is. But truth be told, this season finale should have just been mixed into one episode. It should not have been a two-parter, especially what we had in this last episode, Kamino Lost. It felt really like a detachment from Return to Kamino, because Return to Kamino had a lot more emotional weight to it, and Kamino Lost just dragged it on for too long, which really diminished the finale in my opinion. So I give Kamino Lost a 6 out of 10, which is really sad because it's the season finale for this kind of new era in Star Wars animation where we're going forward instead of backwards on time. And looking back on Season 1, I have to say, the Season 1 did not do much for me. I have honestly forgotten half of the episodes and what happened in them, and I know a lot of people have said, well, the first seasons of the Clone Wars and Rebels weren't amazing either, but they got better over time. And I think that's a really poor excuse for a lack of storytelling or even a lack of trying. I mean, if you're telling me that every Star Wars animation series is going to have a bad Season 1 because that's just how they progress to get better in the later seasons, then I think we need to reevaluate and change how we make our storytelling decisions in these earlier seasons. I have little to no interest in Season 2 now, and I know a lot of other fans are probably going to feel the same way, and I hope not, but sadly skip out on Season 2 next year, and that wouldn't be a problem if Season 1 just did its job. I really don't think having a pattern of failure on every Season 1 is something you can just write off and be like, oh, well, that's just how it is. Like, no, you need to improve. If you want to do a good Star Wars show, something like The Mandalorian hooked everybody with Season 1 alone, and even though Clone Wars Season 1 and maybe Rebels Season 1 haven't aged that well, that doesn't mean that we should treat the Bad Batch the same and expect mediocre from our Star Wars series because, oh, well, that's just the way things have been. That's like expecting the beginning of each movie of a Star Wars trilogy to be worse than the other two and just being like, oh, well, that's okay. I mean, it's going to get better. It's like, no, it should be good from start to finish. So I'm really hoping that Season 2 is a lot better coming out next year. I'm not that interested in it anymore. I'm not going to say they've wasted my time for 16 episodes, but it felt like we were pulling tooth and nail just to get some story substance, just to get some emotional weight and some depth to our characters. Like I said, we have nothing on Echo so far, and it's been 16 episodes. In 16 episodes, they really haven't progressed the story that I think a lot of us would have expected them to, and it seems like they could have done all of this in 10 to 8 episodes, truth be told. But tell me your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. What do you guys think about the two-part season finale? Did you guys like it? If you did, which one did you like more, Return to Kamino or Kamino Lost? And are you excited for Season 2? How do you think about Season 1? I feel like this is going to be an interesting conversation going forward for the Bad Batch series, but I'm going to be honest, I really don't see the series aging well in terms of popularity, mainly going into Season 2. Maybe they'll shock me, and we'll talk about it next year, but at the moment, I am doubtful on the future of the Bad Batch being as successful as something like the Clone Wars or even Rebels. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all for being supporters of Star Wars Only. If you want to be an Only fan, all you gotta do is subscribe and press the notification so you can get up to date on all the latest news in Star Wars. Thank you. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.